Hi. I didn't hear anything. Hi. So. There really are just two things that you need to focus on now, which is this sort of, I guess you could call tactics and strategies. Tactics are subordinate to strategies. And the tactic is IRAC. And the strategy is your plan. So we started this last week, but now it's time to nail this down. If you have been preparing, then, well, one way or the other, we're going to get back feedback. And if you've been preparing and the feedback you get is not positive, that's not a reason to give up. That's not a reason to fold. If you haven't been preparing, you should expect the feedback you're going to get is negative. So you've done the work you've done. So like if you haven't actually put in the time, and that's okay, but don't get me wrong, right? You can take there's no rush here. In a million years, there's no rush. If you feel any pressure to take the exam, you know, that's 3 weeks from yesterday. If you feel any pressure to do that, that's self-imposed. You don't have to take that test. That said, if you haven't done the preparation, this is going to make no difference at all. You with me? So don't beat yourself up. You know, if for whatever reasons you haven't done the preparation, that's just, again, if you're talking about August of next year, you've got the January exam, you've got the March exam, you have the June exam. So think about, you want to, I guess, right, you want to do what I've done for a living. I don't mean you want to be a DA, but I mean you want to do what I've done professionally. Okay. But then you get to do it for the rest of your life. So what's the difference? Whether you get, you know, whether you don't get that final okay until June, or you get it now. I mean, you're going to go to law school in August. I don't think there's anyone in the room. And again, I certainly may be wrong. My sense is there's not a person sitting in this room who, if they continue to prepare for this test through June, right, would not be in law school in August. That's different from, is everyone in this room willing to make such a commitment? And, you know, this really does need to be on your heart. So if you get it done today, that's great. Absolutely, let's rock. Right? But if you don't get it done today, I don't want to hear you say to me, I feel like my dog died. Well, your dog didn't, well, maybe your dog did die, but that's a coincidence. Your dog didn't die, right? You simply either underprepared, right, or need more time. And any attorney on the planet would take an adjournment, and I'd come into me and say, Peter, I feel like my dog died. Fuck you. That's what we would do, you know? We'd say, that sucks. Yeah, I get it sucks. I get that, right? Get your ass up, and let's get at this again. So, what we'll do today is, I see no reason not to take the 4 sections of Exam 80. You know what? I mean, I'll back. You know, if you want to take only 3, we can do that. But I really see no reason not to do it because it's fresh. It's first thing in the morning. That will give us, for the next 2 weeks, this is all we're going to do, right? So for the next 2 weeks, next week and the week after, we'll be doing exam 81 next week, exam 82 the following week. Okay, so 81 is still in the volume. We'll do that next week. And then exam 82 is you got to get that, right? That's a loose exam. And here's what I want you to do. One, I need you to get used to just the physical demand of the test, right? That you're going to have to sit in there for quite some time, right? So that's why I'm thinking, do you guys have any feelings on 3 or 4 sections? Because I'm fine with doing 3, and then, do you guys have any feelings on that? The difference is if we did 3 sections, you're going to do 3, right? And then we're going to stop. It'll be an hour and 45 minutes or so, right? Then you'll grade yourself and go over it. If we do 4, you'll do the hour and 45 minutes, you'll take a 15-minute break. You'll come back, you'll do the 4th section, you'll score yourself, and then we'll go over it. I'd rather see you get tired today than get tired next, a week from today. You with me?
Yeah.
And really what today about is, so are you guys okay? It's okay to say to me no.
I think 4 is good. It mirrors the test to some degree.
Well,
4 seconds.
certainly to a more accurate degree, yeah. Yeah, then 3's not doing. 3 will give you positive feedback, which for sure will give you feedback. But 4, and here's what I need you to do. Again, if you're not doing IRAC now, then there's, that's not optional. You with me? It's not optional to say, well, I found some other way. Well, no. IRAC is the way, right? But the plan is what you should have some semblance of now, right? So again, just going over this, there's nothing more important than your plan. How much time do you think when you try a case, how much time do you think you spend thinking about the order in which you're going to present your witnesses, the type of evidence you're going to admit, the cross-examination you're going to have to conduct? It's all about a bloody plan. So what I want you to do before we start, right, is so we're going to do exam 80, and it's going to be, exam 80 has, and again, we're going to do this. In exam 80, there's a logical, let's get the orders that show up, reading comp, analytical, and logical. That's going to be the order that you go through. So obviously you're not going to have this conversation before you take the test, right? Okay. This is about your plan. You with me? So what you're going to do that nobody else in that room is going to do is you're going to open up here and here. You're going to open up the first 2 pages, yes? Talk to me.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to have an expectation in your mind, and whether you're looking for a certain outcome in this section and in this section. Capiche? But you've decided that in advance. The people sitting next to you have, by and large, given no thought to this. They're all going to get 180. Oh, okay, good luck with that. But you're sitting there saying, no. Based on my preparation, right? Based on the feedback I've gotten from my preparation, realistically, here's what I can get if I take this test. That will almost certainly change if I take this test 3 months from now, right? Where realistically, probably can get a higher score. 6 months from now, realistically, you're even getting a higher score. So this is up to you, right? Nothing, no factor comes close to the LSAT in influencing admission and scholarship money. Nothing comes remotely close. So again, to have this resistance of, well, I don't want to put more time, okay. I personally want to have to, I want to seek the best within myself. And I'm going to find that more, for Peter, I'm going to find that more likely in March than I am in November. But if it's here now, then by all means, let's grab it. So here, you have that number. And you should have that number right now. And if you don't have that number right now, you haven't attached. So if that number is 16, your plan is to get a 16. You with me? It's not random. We're not at Rye Playland, playing games or something. You have a fucking plan. You got to get a 16. You don't get a 16, you're going to die. Okay? You're saying yourself. I mean, method act, but you're going to die anyway. Right? But you go in there saying, listen, I'm not kidding around, right? I want this 16. How do I get that 16? Okay, so the plan involves those first 2 pages. Would it be fair to say we have discussed this before? Talk to me. Okay, so what you're going to do in the logical reasoning in those first 2 pages, so you're going to see pages 1 and 2. Maybe you're going to see 7 questions. Write a number in the top right-hand corner of the second page, right? The number reflects the maximum amount of time you will spend there. You with me? You will not spend 1 fucking second more than that time. And the reason you're spending that time is to get a certain percent correct. You're not spending the time just to spend the time. So does everybody agree with me that if in page 1, and for those first 2 pages, you have question 1 through 7, does everybody agree, as I believe you have in the past, that there will likely be no friendlier 7 questions on this test?
Right.
And therefore, in terms of your plan for those 7 questions is distinguishable from your plan from the last 7 questions.
Yeah.
So now the plan's going to be, for me, of the first 7, my plan is 90%, 9 minutes. Now that means 90% of the questions I actually answer. It doesn't mean I have to answer all 7 questions. You gotta think, have I mentioned they test if you think like a fucking lawyer? And you see how easy it is to speak like a lawyer? All you have to do is modify a lot of words with thought. And then not do that in court, right? Which can be sometimes troublesome. You know how we say fucking court? With all due respect. I say when the other side is messed up, right? If the other side shouldn't be in the room, you just look up at the judge and say, Your Honor, with all due respect. And then the counsel knows you just flipped them the bird. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. Here's what I want you to do, right? You're going to write whatever you write. Don't write what I write, right? But if you say these 7 questions, 9 minutes, 90%. And again, that includes if you run into question, could question number 6 be a level 5?
Yes.
Right. So that's why you can't, this is the tactic, right? This is telling you, no, I know the question number is favorable, but I don't understand the argument. Well, if you don't understand the argument, you don't understand the law, you can't do IRAC. Okay. Then you're going to go to pages 3 and 4. Now I've used 9 minutes. So I've got 26 minutes remaining, right? And this is what you're doing. Much more so than leaving me and taking test after test after test after test under time conditions. Do what you gotta do. Perfect your fucking plan. So now I'm gonna say on pages 3 and 4, would it be fair to say, let's say you had 7 questions here. Would it be fair to say you expect a greater mix of 3 4s, maybe a couple of 5s or 1 5 in there? Would it be fair to say the level of difficulty overall is likely to go up?
Yes.
Okay, so doesn't that imply that in a plan you would give yourself somewhat more time and would not hold yourself to such a high standard? Again, in the context of I'm trying to achieve a 16, right? So you're saying, I'm saying, okay, 9 minutes, a fucking bomb goes off. You with me? I am not spent, if I don't spend 9 minutes in the first 7 questions, I get to reinvest that time, right? But there is no certain, and again, it's a plan. If the plan fails, doesn't that mean you have this week to alter the plan, to readjust the plan, to take feedback from the plan, and go in with a better plan? And don't you think the very same thing is going to happen next week? And don't you think the very thing is going to happen the week after that? And don't you think if you do this, you'll go in there with a plan that you're more likely to be able to execute? You can't execute my plan. I can't execute your plan, right? You have to execute your plan. So here I'm saying, okay, I'm going to move this up to 11 minutes, but I'm not trying to get 90%, because I don't think I can get 90%. So I'm going to go in here at 11 minutes, and I want to get 80%. At 26, I lose 11. I'm now down to 15 minutes remaining, right? Now I have these final, say, 10 questions, right? And I'm going to bundle those, because my experience tells me that if I'm looking at questions 15 through 25, if I'm looking at those questions, there's a bunch of 4s and 5s in there. Of those 10 questions, I imagine a minimum of 6 of them will be 4s and 5s. Now, I have 15 minutes. If I've actually executed here, so 80% of the 7 would get me like a 5.5, we got 5.6, right? So I have 5 or 6 questions right here. I have 6 questions right here, right? So I have the 6. So I'm either at an 11 or a 12. Capiche? Remember, this is in the context of your goal, right? So all I have to do, and I'm going to guess on 5 questions because I have a what? What's that 4-letter word that starts with a P? I have a plan, right? And I've decided in advance that if I try to answer all 25 questions in 35 minutes, I'm going to get my ass kicked. So I've already decided 5 questions, either based on the issue, maybe it's a parallel flaw and it's running, looks like a reading comp passage, more often on the argument, right, where I'm reading it and I just don't have a clue what the writer wrote, right? Then I'm guessing a letter. So that means I only have to answer 5 or 6 of these. But I have 15 minutes to answer 5 or 6 of these. Do you get it?
Yes.
And I'm answering the ones not because of the question number, because I may want to answer question number 24. But I may never get to question number 24 if I just plod along in order. Capiche? All that matters to me is this. I look at 15, I say, do I get this? Do I get this? Did I perform analysis? Do I see it? Then 15 is right for me. If I look at 15 and I don't do that, then it's not right for me. So here, I'm allowing myself, I'm allowing myself 3 minutes per question.
Yes.
And that presupposes I didn't save some time here, right? But now I have 3 minutes per question. And here, I'm looking at, well, I want to guess 1 of 5 right, so that's +1. And I don't know, 50 or 60% of the, say if I could get 60% of the range, that'd be good. But even if I got 50%, I want to get, that would give me, say, +3. Okay. So that would mean from here, from this last bundle, I'm expecting, giving 3 minutes per question, 4 of the 10 right, which would put me at 40%, or 5 of the 10 right. Let's go with 5 of the 10, I think it's 3. But this, either way, 4 or 5. And then you say, does that achieve the objective? Because if it achieves the objective, then it's the correct plan, right? If you have the wrong objective, well, shame on you. So that would get, so we had what, say 5 or 6 here, 6 here, so that's say 12, 11 or 12, and there's your 16. Right? With an 11 it would be a 15, and with 12 it would be a 16. And you're not trying to be perfect. what you want to do is get in the habit of having a plan. There's not, I'm telling you that in my world, there's nothing more important than the way you take this test, because the way almost everybody else takes this test is suicidal. You know, so if you're a freak bright, you're going to do wonderfully well. This is a freak bright. Right? Freak bright people oftentimes struggle in this profession because they have to be surrounded by other freak bright people. And they're only about 1.5% of us. So 98.5% of us mock them. What choice do we have? So, do you get the logical reasoning plan? Okay, so don't just take the 2 sections, write the number in. So you're going to go to 1 through 7, you're going to write the number 9, you're going to keep time. You're not going to wait for a proctor to say 5 minutes left. You're going to keep time. Right? And at 9 minutes, if that's your plan, you're out of there. Then you turn the page and you write 11. Capiche? And that's it. It's not fucking optional. It's it. That's your plan. You've got to stick with it. If your plan sucks, let's find out. But stick with your plan. Then you turn the next page and you're going to write 15 or 12, whatever it was, right? We had, 9, 11, so it'd be 15, right? So you write 15, and what that 15 means is that's what I got left. And what am I looking for?
5.
Well, I'm looking to get 5. Well, I'm going to guess on 5, so it's going to bring me down to 10, right? But you're saying 5 will get, unless you already guessed on 1. And if you guessed on 1 earlier, then you would take it down to 4. If you spend time thinking about your plan, this test so lends itself to that. And then what we've discussed in the past, the reading comp and the analytical are identical. Your plan is you have to know in advance what your objective is. What is your objective? You don't just take a reading comp section. You're saying in advance, my objective is whatever it is, right? Say it's 3 of the passages. Same sort of structure. You're saying, well, if I do 3 passages, first I have to look at all 4, right? So it's 35 minutes less. I'm going to give myself 3 minutes. The purpose of the 3 minutes is to look at each of the 4 passages and decide the order in which you plan to take the 3 you're going to do. Right? Now, let's just say that took 2 minutes, so you'd have 33 minutes left. That would be 11, 11, and 11. But you're not going to find each passage the same. You're going to find that maybe on the passage that speaks to you the most, right? Same thing. Maybe you write a 9, because that's all. That's it. Good night, lights out. The test doesn't test what you know. We don't care what you know because we're going to change all that. The test tests how you think. We think this way, right? So the first is, okay, I'm giving myself 9 minutes. I'm just going to get what I know. So now maybe you're saying my goal in that 9 minutes is 75%. You know, your goal may come down because reading comp may be a weaker section for you, right? Okay. That's it. 9 minutes come, I'm gone. Next page, it's going to say 11 minutes because I expect the second passage I pick will take me longer, and I'll need to read it with greater care. Okay, 11 minutes. Same thing. What am I trying to achieve? You know, you may only be trying to achieve 60% because you're not that strong, right? But you're out in 11 minutes. Don't stay there. Get out. And then the third passage. And there you'll have the most time. And if your goal in reading comp is to get a 15, right? If that were your goal, to get it, which would be fine, then you would need to get basically 5 out of 8, 5 out of 7, 5 out of 7. And perhaps not even that. Because you'll be guessing on one passage. So you're either going to pick up 1 or 2, so actually. can you do that? And if you can't do that, do you get, if you can't do that, that plan is wrong for you? Talk to me.
Yes.
This is just so personal. You know, it's like I don't have the Holy Grail. Well, actually, this is the Holy Grail. Right. But your plan has to be based on your abilities. And that is to be so consumed by this plan that you don't have time to remember you're nervous. You're just so consumed. And that's the reality of certainly of my life, of trial work, is I'm so consumed that I'm not aware I exist, so how can I be nervous? Kavish? So you've got to make sure that what you're working on is what you're supposed to be working on. But this 5 may take me 13 minutes. This 5 may only take me 9 minutes, and man, I want to be aware of that. I don't want to spend 13 minutes where it wasn't going to change my score after 9 minutes. You got to get that?
Yes.
And analytical is exactly the same. Analytical, what is your plan going in there? 3. If it's 3 passages, what's the outcome? Are you trying to get a 15? Because that implies then, right, on 3 passages, again, say you guess 1 right, you need to come up with 14 right out of the 3 hypotheticals you attack. Okay. So, sounds like maybe a similar situation. A 5, a 5, and a 4. Now remember about analytical is you get some assistance in that the first question in at least 3 of the 4 hypotheticals will be the orientation question, yes?
Yes.
So you say, you know what, if I did get 4 and I was patient, there's a 75% chance I'm going to get 4 out of 4. Well, that's a hell of a start. So don't forget the orientation. You don't want to guess on the orientation question. And then you say, well, how? Then great. You know, then if you know, you may find that the first hypothetical has only 5 questions in it. You may find that the second hypothetical has only 5 questions in it. And you may find that the third hypothetical has 7 questions in it. Okay, well, you want to allow more time to resolve 7 issues than you do to resolve 5 issues, generally speaking. So then you're saying, so what's my plan? Ah, okay. So my plan then is 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5, so now I'm 8 out of 10, right? But I'm giving myself the time. And then 5 out of 7, or 4 out of 7. And I've got 35 minutes to do that. And on that final one, I'll do the orientation issue, and then I'm just going to guess 1 letter. And don't infer that the last reading comp passage is the most difficult, or that the first reading comp passage is the easiest. Don't infer in analytical the same thing. It's all IRAC. Analytical, can you organize, manage, and solve? Good night, lights out, nothing the fuck else. If you can't visualize it and you can't draw it, you can't do it. Unless you can do it up here. Yes? Isn't this exciting? Don't you want me to shut up now so you can take the test? You guys have any questions? You gotta do this, right? You gotta do this. Remember, if you don't do well, it reflects on me, and this is all about me. Right? No, 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 no. Right?